Hello everyone. I want to start a new series of videos that focuses on ABAP developers. So if they want to transition to developing in SAP CAP, I'm going to create this video series for those folks. So we will start from the very basics and then we will look at a sample application. And the sample application will give you enough expertise to start building with the CAP applications. So we're not going to be doing a simple hello world application, but rather we are going to take a little bit more challenging project and then showcase how we can build a CAP application. And we will start from this very basics. So this is geared more towards the ABAP developers who want to transition to SAP CAP. So before we delve into creating applications in SAP CAP, I do want to talk about the three-tier architecture. So pretty much all of the applications that you would be creating in SAP CAP, or most of them, at least 95% of them, they follow the three-tier architecture pattern. So you have the UI tier. This is the presentation tier that the end user interacts with. And then you have the application logic, and this is where the CAP application resides. So this is where you build your application logic and everything. And here you have the persistence layer. So these are the three layers that we will be working on. And if we put some technology towards map some technologies for these tiers, then for the UI tier, if you're working with SAP ecosystems, then you will be building applications with SAP UI5. But you can also build applications with React, Angular, or any of the other JavaScript libraries. So on the application logic tier, you would be building applications with the CAP programming model. And then for the persistence layer, you would be using the SAP HANA. And the runtime itself, so the presentation layer, because we will be building a web application for the most part, this will be running on the browser, so either the Chrome or an Edge. You can build native mobile applications as well, but for the most part, you will be building a web application, and this will be running on the browser. And then this is going to be, you have two different flavors for the CAP. You can run it in Java or Node.js. But a lot of the applications you will see that they use the Node.js runtime, so we will be using the Node.js runtime, and then the HANA runtime on the SAP BTP as well. So these are the three tiers that we will be focusing on. Now, when we develop applications using CAP, so the CAP application developer needs to be pretty proficient in all these three tiers. So you typically become a full stack application developer. So you would need to have some knowledge on how to build a web application. You need to be very proficient with building the middleware or data services layer. And you also need to be proficient with the data modeling. Now, before we get started, so because you're coming from the ABAP development background, you may not know too much about JavaScript, but I want to emphasize the importance of JavaScript when it comes to Node.js or CAP development. So like I mentioned, we are typically looking at a full stack developer. So when you're a CAP developer, you're pretty much taking control of all of these items. So one of the big advantages of JavaScript is that you can do both server-side Node.js development and the client-side SAP UI5 development. So JavaScript, if you know the language JavaScript, you can work on both these layers, the Node.js layer and also the UI5 layer. And it has a very large active community, so a lot of innovations happen because there is a large community, and you have different programming patterns, the asynchronous programming patterns like promises and async await, and we will be looking at all of this in our application as well. And it is a future-proof skills widely used in the industry. So I just want to showcase like how popular JavaScript is in the industry. So good metrics is the GitHub commits. So if you if you search for the top programming languages in 2024 based on GitHub commits, then you will notice that JavaScript tops the list pretty much every year. So you can see JavaScript remains the most utilized language among its developers, followed by Python and Java. So definitely learning JavaScript has a huge impact on like your future proofing your career as well. So just want to focus. I just want to emphasize the importance of JavaScript. So definitely do take some time to learn JavaScript. So it's a fairly easy language to learn. So if you know ABAP, then you can definitely learn JavaScript. JavaScript is a much easier language than ABAP, at least in my opinion. Now, you know that there is also the RESTful ABAP programming model. So since you come from the ABAP development background, you have probably worked with RAP. So they both cater to different environments and different use cases as well. Now, RAP, if you have worked with RAP, you would notice that there are a lot of different layers that you have to build, and there is a lot of complex steps you need to learn ABAP. There is also this new EML language that you would, or EML syntax that you would have to use to interact with the business objects and so on. And that is primarily because the SAP S4HANA RAP is designed to work within the SAP S4HANA environment. So there is legacy systems and everything. So RAP has these constraints that they need to work with these legacy systems. They need to behave well and so on. Whereas with CAP, we don't have that kind of constraints. So we are more flexible, and it's a much more straightforward, modern approach to application development. And this suits well for cloud native applications. So definitely CAP is a lot more simpler, much more streamlined than RAP. RAP, you will have a lot of layers. You would have to create the tables, then you create the consumption view, the interface views. You have the behavior definition and so on, the implementation. So there's quite a few layers that you have to work with in RAP, whereas CAP is a lot more streamlined. Now, when to use CAP and when to use RAP? So this is a question that you get asked quite often. So if you are working only with SAP S4HANA system, so if you're going to build an extension application and that application only needs the data from within SAP S4HANA system, then RAP is a pretty good option because it has tight integration with SAP S4HANA. So if you're processing large data sets, you don't have to move it out, like you don't have to move it to a remote system and so on. And it's closely tied to the SAP S4HANA business objects. So in this kind of a scenario use case, RAP is a good option. But if you're going to be using data from SAP S4HANA systems and also you need integration with other SaaS solutions, then you definitely have to go outside of RAP, and then CAP becomes a viable option. And also, if you want to do some rapid development, simplified data modeling, and again, JavaScript, if your ecosystem or if your organization has enough folks with JavaScript knowledge, then CAP is a good option to pursue. The strength of CAP. So why do we want to use CAP? Why not I just write the application with JavaScript from the ground up, with Node.js from the ground up? Now, the CAP, what it does is a lot of the boilerplate code that you would have to write is all taken care of by CAP. So all you have to do is you have to focus on the business logic. So once you start writing applications with CAP programming model, then you will understand how easy it is to start building enterprise-grade applications because all of the plumbing behind the scenes is taken care of by the framework, and you are free just to write the business logic. Okay, so I will show a quick demo of the application that we are going to build. So I have this application already running. So if I go into my application, so I have the CDS watch, the application is already running. So I've already clicked on this, and this is the application that we are going to build. So this is a list report object page application, but it has a lot more complexity behind the scenes. So what we are doing here is we are getting data from a remote system. So this is the Northwind OData service. So I've designed the application in such a way that anyone can follow it. So you can use your trial SAP BTP account and follow this application. You don't need any SAP S/4HANA system or anything like that. So you have the Northwind database, so we get the data from a remote system. And then once I go to the object page, so what we are going to do is we are going to tie the customers from the Northwind remote systems to a SAP S/4HANA system. So this customer ID is mapped to this SAP S/4HANA system customer ID. And then from the SAP S/4HANA system, we are getting all the sales orders and displaying it here as well. And we have some color coordinated syntactic semantic coloring here as well. Now, because not everyone will have an SAP S/4HANA system, we are going to be using the API Business Accelerator Hub. So don't worry, you don't need an SAP S/4HANA system. So this data is coming from the Business Accelerator Hub. So we are actually tying two remote systems, getting the data, and then displaying it in a list report object page. So if I go back to my slide deck here, some of the features of this demo, we are using OData v4 service. We are creating a SAP Fiori Elements app. Like I said, we have seamless integration from SAP S/4HANA Cloud, the Northwind OData service, and we also have the local services that we are connecting from our HDI instance. There's also going to be security as well that we have, and what you can also do is, if I go back to my application here, so we have security here. So unless you provide the proper username password, so if I provide the username password, then it gives me the data. If I don't provide the username and password, then it gives me like unauthorized, please log in with a valid user. So we have all the good stuff in this application right here, all the enterprise grade stuff that we need. We will also look at CI/CD later on. But this is the application that we are going to build. Just wanted to give you a preview of the application. In the next following videos, we will look at how we can build this application step by step. And I will also give you some background as we do certain features. Okay, see you in the next video. Thank you.